The reason you're not where you want to be is because you have failed at these two concepts. The first one, identifying and accepting your value. The second, placing a premium on that value. As young people, especially we the young people, we adopt that which is popular. We do what is mainstream. The grass is always green at the other side. We are always pursuing the next hot stuff, the next lean coin, trying to get rich quick. As usual, this content diverges from mainstream advice. This is not the classic pound your hand on your chest, say you are powerful, say you are motivated, or you are loved, you are kind, all of those bullshit affirmations. I'm here to give you a breakdown of something you've never heard in this fashion. As a consequence of tonight's discourse, somebody's life is about to change. That there's something that has been missing with the diligence of the students, paying rapt attention to the mysteries about to be unraveled in this discourse. Your life goes from point A to point B. The problem with change is it doesn't just stop with you. Every single person within your radius, every single person within your circumference benefits as a consequence of that change. Let's say your finances increase today. Does that mean your mom gets better health care? Your siblings are sent to better school? The security of not just your life, your property is increased as a result of changing environment. So success is equally as probable as failure. Once you're a failure, it affects everybody within your circumference, either painting their image or hurting their finances, trying to bail you out from one trouble to the other. So success is the equal and opposite force, is the dual nature of failure. So the first point we'll explore, the first thing we'll learn in tonight's discourse is identifying and accepting your value. Notice my choice of words, identifying and accepting, identifying and acceptance. This one is very difficult. It's very difficult because we are trained to focus externally. And in this age of technology where it has become increasingly easy to connect to people and see a variety of lifestyle, unfortunately, the purporters make you believe if you've not attained a certain level, especially as a young man, you are a failure. If you don't have XYZ, if you don't have this, you are a failure. And I concur. Of course, it can be used as a spur to challenge and motivate you into creating something beautiful. But the flip side, it leads most to depression. It veers most people out of the path of destiny. An entrepreneur in the making suddenly converges towards things like forex and crypto, losing money, creating unnecessary problems for himself, going into debt. Had he focused on his entrepreneurial calling, he would have been much better. So identifying and accepting your unique talent is something everybody should pay attention to. One of the difficulties you encounter in this principle is truly believing that talent is able to liberate you, especially financially. I've said it in previous discourse as touching this topic. The consecration demand to get you to the highest echelon of that activity is absurd, is ridiculous from the external perspective. I met a guy who makes a living asking people, how do you make a living? In fact, observing it, you would probably think at the infancy of that career that he's wasting his time. How do you get up early in the morning to interview people, hope millionaires take 2 minutes out of their time and attend your dumb interview, asking them how did they make a living? Unfortunately, this guy is so popular that the fake gurus, scammers now patronize his service, beg for an interview, including payment, in an attempt to seem legit. Anything can take you to the next level. We live in an age of infinite opportunities. Technology has made it possible with the hunger and determination to get to the next level. All you need is faith in what you're doing, and you'll be fine. Identifying your talents and working towards it doesn't just require faith, it requires patience because the activities you do, it doesn't make sense. How does reading books, studying charts, learning about business, how does it correlate to my ultimate financial liberation? Perhaps that's the training of a CEO. Buffett with 10 hours every single day that makes a decision 6 months into the year or sporadically 10 hours every single day. If your mom wants to catch you in the basement reading 10 hours daily, you know what's coming. You're probably wasting your time. Go get a job. Your 20s is slipping by, and all you do is read, 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 read. Let's strike a balance. You can read for entertainment. You can read such that all you're doing is becoming knowledgeable in various subjects. That kind is condemnable. But I'm talking to that 1 percenter whose activity to get to the next level is unconventional, whose activity to excel doesn't make sense to their family, to the loved ones, to people within your radius. The worst thing you can do to yourself is to try and explain your moves, try and give a logical breakdown of what exactly you're doing. The reason most people explain themselves is to avoid obstacles. So the guys who would insult you have a rich understanding of why you spend 8 hours working with a camera, asking people what they do for a living, or why you're starting your company from a garage, or why you refuse to take angel investors because of their unethical practices, or why you're doing XYZ, or why you're working 10 hours a day into a business that makes little to no profit, or why you're spending your time kickboxing, or why you're giving your all to an external activity, or why you do this, or why you've not gotten a job, or why you're spending time investing in yourself. Identify and accept your talent. This is one of the most difficult things to do, as easy as it sounds. In fact, I've been able to reduce its difficulty not in the external activity itself, but in the internal activity. The stress it takes is like a leap of faith. You're betting on yourself to achieve this result. You're betting because you're intelligent enough to understand that once this time passes, it can never get back. Is my time really worth pouring into this activity? Is this activity really worth investing years of my life? That's why most people never accept this is their talent. Imagine being Salisbury and getting told that you're going to be a billionaire. in the valuation, plain salt. In fact, the restaurant industry is one of the niche that makes the fewest of billionaires. The billionaires we know have cool jobs like in the tech industry, the AI, the chips. This make real billionaires. But this idea that some spraying salt and owning a restaurant is suddenly going to make you rich is abysmal. It's laughable. It's the same thing with your talent. You're sitting down there at home. You have this skill. You have this talent. But to you, it doesn't make sense. You do not believe it can liberate you. Which leads us to number two, placing a premium on the value you have to offer. Most times we become so familiar with this value because it's habitual. In fact, you have so imbued it into your daily life. It's common sense at this point. Familiarity breeds contempt. The first person to see a camel fled. The second dared within distance. The third dared slip a house round his head. By this logic, you see, familiarity breeds contempt. Familiarity is a byproduct, or trivialization is a byproduct of familiarity. That's why CEOs are advised to periodically take retreats from their company, not just for refreshment, not just for new ideas. All of these are part of the larger picture of playing this idea of familiarity, of downplaying the idea of familiarity. It's even in the Bible that when Elijah asked the woman, "What do you have in your house?" For those who are non Christians, let me give you the full story. A lady whose husband died, left her in debt, used the children as collateral. She came to Prophet Elijah, poured, her, poured out her situation. "I know your husband, or I know my husband served the Lord. Help me." He asked her a very simple question: "What do you have in your house?" Nothing except a jar of oil. Nothing except a jar of oil. That exception not only bailed her out of debt, but she lived out the rest. Now, Elijah gave a recommendation that is equally applicable to you. Go and borrow vessels. Borrow not a few. You don't need to borrow oil. Borrow vessels. Vessels in this kingdom mean individuals who have gone ahead of you, people who have done, who are doing what you currently do. Learn, gain as much wisdom to perform at a very high level in whatever venture you find yourself. The solution is not to borrow oil, which is what most young people do. They borrow clothes, they borrow watches, they borrow houses, they pose behind cars that aren't theirs. My friend, that kind of life is unprofitable, it's unnecessary. There are people today who can't leave their house without borrowing certain things. There are people in this day and age who can be themselves because they foolishly believe they will be judged. And while that might be true, but those guys who will judge you will serve as alibi when you become great. There are people who would have to pass an estate only to hide and go to their crappy apartment. No, the Bible doesn't leave us in the dark that men can rise. It says, "Though thy beginning shall be small, thy later end shall greatly increase." Stop taking your life. Stop trying to do things that are unnecessary. The fact that it's possible for someone else means it's possible for you. Stop faking it. Stop going through the unnecessary route to sell a certain narrative. It is cheaper to be authentic. Once you sell a false idea of yourself, you now have to live up to expectations, make donations you have not acquired the stature to endure, affect situations of which you have no power, no influence. It's only a matter of time before you get caught. Of course, there's a take it, you make it movement, but you can become rich by utilizing your talent. And as always, my friends, before I go, let me give you an example. One that involves me. You see, my intellect is so unique. I've imbued it into my daily life, such that I do not see the premium in this mindset until I came across a concept of finances that had to do with equity. So there was this guy who I would not say his name publicly, teaching some kind of master class about a hostile takeover, individuals get into a company using various organizations in an attempt to consolidate power. And once they've gotten enough shares, they use the influence cumulatively to vote out a CEO or buy back the various shares. Once that is done, they are able to delist all of the shares and make it private equity. So that's the way you turn a public company to a private company via a hostile takeover. This situation was, or this situation wanted to play out in Steve Jobs' Apple when Larry Ellison asked Jobs if he wanted him to buy the company. That was when Jobs got fired from Apple. If he would love Ellison to get him the company, of which Jobs declined. But when I saw someone teach this concept, which was foreign to most individuals, to me, this is basic. To me, this is common sense. There's no unravelness of mystery associated with that video. That's why I've learned to tone down my IQ, because what I see as common sense is information to other people. The same thing with this video. I'm not feeling excited communicating because every single thing I've shared up until this point sounds basic. You can see there's little to no excitement in my eyes. Unfortunately, it's from Samaria to Judea to the uttermost part of the earth. If you try to take people from Samaria to the uttermost part of the earth, they will get lost because there are disciplines, there are consecration demands, there are experiences that will build certain level of maturity, certain degree of intellect they are yet to be accustomed. So the knowledge that would act as the shoulders of giants you stand upon doesn't exist. So you are bootstrapping. Settle on these teachings. The first one, identify and accept your value as unconventional as it might sound. In fact, I'll be doing a video on how to distinguish unconventionality and what is acceptable. What I mean by that is, in order to be successful, you are most likely going to adopt unconventional moves. So in that pathway, you might foolishly believe, because of a little bit of success, that every single thing conventional should be thrown out the window. So adopting unconventionality 100% of the time isn't advisable. So for instance, trying to relish in the idea that hard work is not part of the equation. Yes, there are people who have taken it to the extreme, like those gurus who sell the idea the only way to success is to get up by 3 a.m. in the morning, do some morning routine that cuts out 2 hours of your time. Yes, it has been taken to the extreme, but downplaying hard work will leave you frustrated, downcast, and eventually out of business. The second, learn to place a premium on your value. Do not downplay your value. Just because it's common sense to you doesn't mean it's premium to other individuals. And as always, my friends, it's a pleasure speaking to you. I'll see you in the next one.